Okay, so it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to this edition of the PASC23 conference. My name is Eleni. I'm one of the conference co-chairs. I'm a chair of structural mechanics and monitoring at ETH Zurich, and together with Mike Heroux from Sandia, we will be hosting or co-hosting this edition of PASC. And to begin with, without further ado, I would like to invite on stage our two local hosts for a message that represents the local institutions that promote education and research and associated activities. So I would like to invite Barbara Halle-Rupf from Academia Raetica and Dr. Katja Bärenfaller from Science City Davos, who will open for us. Please come on stage.
Dear chairs, dear researchers and representatives of industry, dear Valerie Favracola, President of the Cantonal Commission of Education and Culture, the highest position regarding research in the Canton of Graubünden, dear guests. I'm very pleased to welcome you all here in Davos on behalf of the scientific community of Grisons. Graubünden, the largest canton of Switzerland, with its three languages, German, Romansh, and Italian, its 937 mountains, its 615 lakes, but only 200,000 inhabitants, a fifth of a million, is perhaps not what one imagines as a research cluster. Or asked the other way around, do you really think of research when you think of Graubünden? Maybe not. The map shows Graubünden in the southwestern part of Switzerland with its research sites. Most of you arrived via Zurich, which is which is in the northwest, Bern even more west, and Geneva out of the building. So we are in the really east of Switzerland, of this small country. In total, there are nearly 30 research institutions, universities, and clinics that work scientifically in the canton of Graubünden. The main focus in Davos, Katja Bärenfaller will tell you more about it in a few minutes, and in the Graubünden Rhine Valley around Chur. In addition, there are a few remote mountain locations that take advantage of the very special high mountain situation here regarding landscape, biosphere, but also medicine and endurance sports. If you are interested in this, please take one of the brochures down there, or in the end there will be a QR code and you can download this brochure immediately. All those institutions are linked together in the Academia Raetica like minerals in a conglomerate. And Academia Raetica forms the matrix around them. Raetica originally means the specific geological rock formation of the Eastern Alps. Today, Raetia stands also for the cultural area of Eastern Alps, also parts of Switzerland, Italy, Austria, as well as the Principality of Liechtenstein, maybe you never heard about. The Academia Raetica, based here in Davos, is the association of the promotion of science, research and education in the canton of Grisons and its neighboring regions. The Academia Raetica was founded in 2006 with the purpose of promoting young scientists, offering transferable skills courses, connecting its member institutions and representing their interests in politics and public. As you may imagine, Graubünden doesn't have a full university. Therefore, Academia Raetica takes some of the tasks of a university on behalf of the government of Graubünden. The figures on this slide summarize Graubünden as a research location. The funds, of course, are scarce. But even without industrial companies and students, 700 people are scientifically active in this canton, and the research institutes and comparatively small universities of applied sciences have a combined budget of over 200 million Swiss francs. Small but mighty, klein und fein, in other words. It is the declared goal of the Parliament and government in Graubünden to strengthen and expand research and especially applied research. In the future, Graubünden should not longer be associated mostly with mountains and tourism, but also with research and development. In existing and new research institutions, a modern research infrastructure, the science cluster and the high quality of life here around should attract young researchers, but also established experts. At the moment, most postdocs and PhDs, as you can see at the bottom of this slide, are realized in nature and in the field of medicine and life science. The reason for this second field, medicine and life science, goes back to the former leukemia sanatoriums here. After the discovery of penicillin, the clinic stood empty and became the first research institutions here in Davos. But Graubünden wants more, and the innovation and the research strategy of the canton has 6 profile fields, which you probably can see at the bottom of the slide. They are defined as tourism and economy, resources and natural hazards, key technologies, culture, diversity, and medicine. And as you can see, the last one, last but not least, it's computational science. As you also can see here in computational science, we don't have a lot of research at the moment. So you, as specialists on the field of scientific computing, you are therefore very welcome here and our future hope. In this sense, a warm welcome to you, to Graubünden, to all of you. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you a fruitful, interesting, enjoyable Congress, and please think of research next time you think of Graubünden.
Okay, it's now my great pleasure to welcome you from Davos Science City to the Science City of Davos. So Davos Science City is another association that's located here, and it aims at strengthening and expanding the research and education location Davos. And speaking of Davos, we have 8 Davos research institutes. So we have the 4 long-established ones, the AO Research Institutes, which we call the bone breakers because they deal with musculoskeletal diseases and bone fractures. Then we have the PMRD WRC, where you probably all know Timo Fey, who's working there. We have the Swiss Institute of Allergy and Asthma Research, where I'm working. And we have the Institute of Snow and Avalanche Research. So, as Barbara mentioned before, like PMRD, WRC, and CF are more than 100 years old and were established a long time ago. But we also have new research institutes, which is also a very positive sign for a research location. So we have the SRISM, the Swiss Research Institute for Sports Medicine, CK Care, which is Center for Allergy Research and Education, Cardio Care, and the Lab 42, which was just funded last year. We have lot of computational science going on in these institutes. So a few examples, the PMOD, WRC, this climate modeling. In CF, we're applying machine learning to analyze biomedical data set to identify significant features. The Institute of Snow and Avalanche Research is doing a lot of modeling in predicting avalanches, but also helping in or doing rockfall experiments and simulations. Then we have the CardioCare, Davos, where they've sequenced over 11,000 individuals and now searching these genomics data for factors that are associated with cardiovascular diseases. And the newest one, the Lab42, which has several projects linked to artificial intelligence. And one of them is this human-level AI, where they also put interesting students' projects. So the Davos Research Institutes are involved in implementing the cantonal research strategy that was also mentioned by Barbara Haller before. So this one was the profile field computational science, and in 2019 there was a Davis Center established, the Center for Data Analysis, Visualization and Simulation, which consists of the Davis Center at the University of Applied Sciences of the Canton of Grisons in Chur, and the Swiss Institute of Allergy and Asthma Research as the main project partner, but of course dealing with projects in all the research institutes. So we're mainly part of the data analysis part here in Davos with the application of machine learning, statistical models, and explainable AI. But there's also at the Davis Center, we also have a node to a high-performance computing cluster. There is another project where we've part of the cantonal research strategy. Okay, so in 2020, the Center for Precision Proteomics was established in CF at the Medical Campus Davos, and since 2022, we have there an assistant professorship of the University of Zurich. So with all this data analysis, bioinformatics, and also proteomics going on, we're, as in Davos, also part of Swiss-wide initiatives. So Davos is part of the Swiss Biodata Ecosystem Initiative, and the Swiss Biodata Ecosystem is a decentralized infrastructure that addresses the challenges of data sharing and reuse, which of course also are an important part of the open research data strategy. And we address these challenges there through the development of quality and operational standards and collaboration between experts and data scientists. So you see in these contributing organizations, you see many of the organizations that are also present here at this conference, and we hope that we can continue then from next year on with some federal funding there. One of the contributing organizations to this Swiss Biodata Ecosystem is the Swiss Institute of Bioinformatics that plays an important role in coordinating there. And also Davos has two research groups in the SIB, and hopefully in the next half year a third one. So we're gearing up, and Davos only has 13,000 inhabitants, and all these research institutes and all these initiatives are really a huge proportion of our population is dedicated to science and also data science. In addition to the cantonal research strategy, Davos was also part of the cantonal innovation strategy. So in 2021, the CIRC was established, the Climate Change Extremes and Natural Hazards in Alpine Regions Research Center. So we're really dealing also with very current problems here associated with global warming and climate change. And this was defined as one of the two lighthouse projects in the cantonal innovation strategy. And you also see here that we have that this initiative is strengthened with joint ETH Zurich professorships. So we also have these strong links between the University of Zurich, ETH Zurich, and another direct link that we have here is to the ETH Studio Davos. So the ETH Studio Davos was the fourth ETH studio that was founded. So after New York, West Coast, and Bangalore, Davos was the first one. And the aim of these ETH studios is that research institutes define a challenge, which is a project in the data science, in the digital area for ETH students. So these then get advertised at ETH Zurich. The students come to agreement with a supervisor in one of the research institutes. They come here to do their project, and all this is also with partly funding from the canton, which is then again organized by Academia Raetica. So we had so far four ETH Studio Davos challenges, and we're just about to start the next round of project. And with this, I would like to welcome you very warmly to this Science City Davos. I hope you enjoy your stay here in the beautiful mountains and that you have an exciting conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Katja and Barbara for this introduction. It's important to know we're in an environment that does promote science and pursues exciting activities in the domain of research and education. And to explain more on the exciting program we actually have in store for you, and with your participation, I would like to now invite on stage the co-chair for this conference, and this is Mike Heroux, who's a senior scientist in Sandia in the Sandia National Laboratories in the US, and a scientist in residence for St. John's University in Minnesota. So Mike,
yes,
I give the floor also to you.
Thank you very much, Eleni. Welcome everybody to the conference. We're really grateful to have you here. We have a conference theme, computing across scales, domains, and, oh, thank you. Yeah. Scales, domains, and communities. The across part is maybe the most active word and theme for the conference, in the sense that we really are trying, as you all know, work across the deep domain knowledge, specific knowledge that each of us has to create a synthesis of ideas and that can bring the impact that we want in terms of scientific results. And so you'll look for themes throughout the conference, and there are many of them that focus on the across part of what this meeting is about. So just a little bit about what we have in store. We have one interdisciplinary dialogue session that is focused on the theme of scales and primarily, but also domains. We have one plenary panel discussion inviting some very diverse group of people who we ask to speak their minds and tell us what they think is important in the theme of the conference. We have 5 keynote presentations, which we're really looking forward to inform us and leaven the conversation with lots of topics that we can discuss within other parts of the program. We have 26 papers that were published in the ASIM Digital Library and the related presentations. We have 57 posters, and we'll hear about those, at least half of those, shortly. And then we have 176 mini-symposia talks, which will allow us as a community to dive deeply into a bunch of different topics. So our first invited keynote presentation is from Lorena Barba. Lorena is from George Washington University. She is a professor there. And let me bring up my notes so I get everything right here. All right. She is a professor of mechanical and aerospace engineering at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Lorena is an international leader in computational science and engineering. She is also a long-standing advocate of open science, open source software for science and education, and she is well known for her courses and open educational resources. She served for several years on the board of directors for NumFocus, an important numerical software foundation. She is also an expert in research reproducibility and was a member of the very influential National Academy study on reproducibility and replicability in science. She served as the reproducibility chair for the SC Supercomputing Conference in 2019 and is editor-in-chief of IEEE Computing in Science and Engineering and much more. In sum, I think of Lorena as a scientist. She is here to speak with us today on the topic of anti-patterns of scientific machine learning to fool the masses, a call for open science. Please help us welcome Lorena to PASC23. So to continue a little bit about our keynote, so Lorena will be speaking to us next. Rick Stevens, who's from Argonne National Laboratory, will give our public lecture, a view of post-exascale computational science, mixing of HPC, AI, and quantum, and that should be a very good conversation if you've heard Rick. Next slide. All right. Okay, and then we will have the panel discussion with Eleni and myself as moderators, and then our four panelists, Hannah, Axel, Nina, and Simone. Better get together, how can we enhance inter-community collaboration? Then the interdisciplinary dialogue, our interviewer will be Maria Marinkovic, who will speak with Jens Walter. And then our awarded keynotes, Petros Koumoutsakos, who you may remember as the chair, one of the chairs of PASC22, and our praised Ada Lovelace Award winner for HPC, Sarah Neudwert. And then our PASC plenary papers, Thorsten Kurt. All right, and now we move on.
I'll briefly take it over just to explain some of the numbers. Maybe those of you who are more familiar with or are more of the participants of PASC already maybe are aware of. Just for this edition, we have 438 registered participants. But if we look back to the history of PASC, starting from 2014, when was actually the first instance of the conference, we have grown in numbers. There was a gap in 2020 because of the COVID pandemic. We returned in an online version, which gave us actually our highest amount of participants. But we're very pleased to finally be back in person, even with, let's say, surprises that may be going on. It's always much better to have this kind of an interaction of an in-presence event. And indeed, this event, although hybrid formally, insists on and is represented by a higher percentage of in-person participation. We're also an international conference, although it was an initiative that was established from Swiss institutions and is held annually in Switzerland. We have, through the years, again, risen in terms of international representation and participation, which is very important for the purpose of the conference, which tries to do this cross-seeding in the domain of computing across also international communities. So today, in this event, we will also be introducing the feature of the interview corner, and this will be headed by our two interviewers, Maria Grazia Giuffredda from the Swiss National Supercomputing Center and Erik Lindahl from the Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden. I would like to very briefly, if I can, give the floor to Erik, who will explain a few things about this interview corner.
All right, thank you so much, Eleni. Great to be here. We're going to be interviewing a number of you keynote speakers and many symposium organizers, but we also want to bring your attention during the poster session tomorrow hour. Each and every one of you have a chance to come up and join us, because we're also doing science together here. So if you have opinions where science and PASC should go next, join us and share your opinion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. I think it's very important to give the floor to the scientists, and I also have this later on featured on our webpage, which will be one of the aspects, which brings me to the event platform, where I will try to be as concise as possible, but it would be very important for everyone to try and download or log in to the platform, because this is essentially your portal to the event. This is very important for all of those who are mini symposium organizers or presenters. Please look for this email on PASC23 conference registration, where all of the information is offered. For the mini symposium organizers, we ask that you log into the platform, because it will also give you the access to the Zoom link for your session. After all, this is a hybrid event, and every session is recorded, which gives us the opportunity later on to upload the recordings also on the platform, where they will be accessible for all of the participants in an offline manner after the event. It is also very important for the speakers to log into to the platform and use their laptop. This is how we will be operating. You have to use your laptop. You will have the time which is allotted to your talk, which is 30 minutes. We ask you to arrive 15 minutes earlier, so prior to the session, for doing the setup, for making sure that everything works and that you can stream properly, so that also the hybrid audience or the online audience can properly attend the talk. And if this is not motivation enough, another reason to register on our online platform is because you can also keep track of other activities that are going on, including events such as the morning yoga, which I also hope to catch, and to consult the event platform for ideas on further cultural activities in the region. There is some information here about the meals, so you should know that all of the meals have a vegetarian option, but for those with dietary restrictions or allergies or vegan preferences, then you would find this in this floor, actually right behind, if I'm not mistaken, the stairs, where there's the dedicated option for those with allergies and vegans. And then I also want to remind everyone of today's evening event, which is quite special. It's a bit further away, which is why we go by bus, which departs at 6:45. This is 15 minutes after the last mini symposium session, so please make sure not to be late so that you can catch the bus. It's important to be registered for this event because it's fully booked out, as I was informed, and we will be departing from the restaurant to return at 10:30. Now I want to also take this opportunity to thank our PASC organizing team, because without them this event would not have been feasible. From left to right you see a part of the team, so Team Alessandro, Hussein, Michelle, Helen, Tatiana, and Andrea. Thank you very much for making this possible. And also thank you to our sponsors, who are also the ones to thank for the realization of the event, our golden and silver sponsors, and also our institutional partners, whom you will see featured throughout these sessions. And with this, I would also like to encourage you to follow us on our social media. Let us know what's going on and what's exciting for you using the hashtag PASC23.